The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets is a collection of photo tutorials for beginners that will take you all the way from the basics to the more advanced stuff. It is now available for purchase worldwide anywhere you typically buy books, and there is also a direct link in the description. Hello, my name is Masha, and today I want to teach you how to make this gorgeous friendship bracelet. I love this pattern, look how beautiful it is, and I also really enjoy how the colors work with this one. It is so wonderful. Going into this tutorial, I expect that you know how to make the basic knots, so I won't be explaining how to make them, I'll just be telling you which ones to make. This also isn't really a beginner-friendly tutorial, I must say. It's not difficult by any means, there's just quite a lot of steps, so it might be a little bit confusing for someone just starting out. If you are a beginner, I recommend watching one of my beginner-friendly tutorials. I have a separate playlist for that, which will be linked in the description. But if you think you're up for it, let's get to it. I completely forgot to record the visuals for this section, but you need 4 colors and an outline color. You're going to cut 2 strings per color for the main colors, each roughly about 1 meter in length, and for the outline color, you're going to cut 8 strings, roughly 1 meter in length. I decided to start this bracelet off with a triangle end. I have a separate tutorial on how to make those, it'll be linked in the description to save time. The only thing that you need to know in order to make it is the string order. I have that highlighted in the pattern, but also I can explain. It's symmetrical. We start with the 2 white strings in the center, followed by the light peach, another white string, the darker peach, another white string, the dark teal, another white string, and then the light teal at the edge. The first row of this bracelet is extremely simple. We start with the 2 strings in the center, the 2 white strings. They're going to make a knot between each other, and then each of them are going to go their separate ways. This string is going to go all the way to the right in forward knots up until the very last string, and this string is going to go all the way to the left in backward knots up until this string. Covering each string one by one, we're essentially doing a reverse chevron. Once that row is done, we move on to something also very easy and very similar. We are just going to be doing rows of chevron. To do that, we're going to separate our strings. My dark teal string is going to be the one that we're focusing on here. That's going to be the edge of our chevron, and same on the other side. So essentially, we're separating 3 strings on the left side and 3 strings on the right side, and we're going to put them off to the sides so that they're not in the way. And we start by focusing on the strings in the center. We're going to be doing chevron rows with each of these strings as we go along. So we start off with the 2 strings in the center. To complete the chevron, we only have to make 1 knot because they are already in the center. We grab the next strings, which are the white strings, and next we're going to be doing a chevron with them. And because they're relatively close to the center, that is also only 3 knots. We do a forward knot on the left side, a backward knot on the right side, and then the 2 white strings do a knot together. Then we grab the next string, which is this peach color on both sides, and we do a chevron with these strings. We're going to continue with the white strings after that, and then the dark teal strings after that, each of them doing just a chevron row. Alright, we're done with the chevrons. We now have 2 separate things going on. We have something going on the left side and something going on the right side. They're symmetrical, but I'm going to go through them separately. Let's start with the left side. We were just doing chevron rows, so we grab the next string that we would have done a chevron row with had we continued in that pattern. And that's this white string here that's pointing in this direction. And we're going to do what's essentially the start of a chevron row. We're just going to do forward knots with this white string along each of these strings until it gets to the center. That's going to leave us with the dark teal string here as the end string. Now this white string is going to be put off to the side alongside the other strings that we put away. We focus on the next string, which is this teal string. It's going to do pretty much the same thing with one key difference. It's going to do forward knots along each of these strings, but for the last one, which is the dark teal color, we're going to do a forward backward knot instead, reversing this string back into the outside part of the bracelet. So 4 forward knots, 1 forward backward knot. After this, we take this dark teal string that we just did a reverse knot onto and also put it off to the side so it's not in the way. Next, we grab the white string that is on the edge here and we do a row of forward knots along each of these strings individually. So 5 forward knots. This white string is also now going to be put off to the side. We focus on the outermost string once again, and this time we do 3 forward knots and 1 forward backward knot, reversing the color string back to the outside of the bracelet. So you're starting to see a pattern here. With the color strings, we do forward knots followed by a forward backward knot, but with the white strings, we just do forward knots. As I said, 3 forward knots, 1 forward backward knot. Now the string that reverse knot was made onto is off to the side. White string on the edge, 3 forward knots. You want to be careful when doing forward knots onto a string that just did a forward backward knot, because what can happen is, what happened to me here, the previous color will start to pop through occasionally. To fix that, you just want to gently pull on that previous color, and that should pop the correct color back into place. I also sometimes fix it like by pushing my nail up there, just fiddling with it. All right, both of these strings off to the side. We've got 3 strings remaining. The last color string does a forward knot and then a forward backward knot. And finally, we've got just 1 string left, which is the white string, which does a forward knot onto this color string. Another way to kind of avoid that string popping through is you might want to hold on to the previous string. Like I'm holding it with my pinky right now, to kind of make it tight to keep it in place so it doesn't pop through when I make a forward knot onto the other string. And then again, I kind of fiddle with it to, make sure that everything is in place and where it should be. There we go. This side is completely done. I'm going to focus on the right side now, popping all of the strings that we just worked with off to the left so they're out of our way. We do the exact same thing on this side, except obviously in reverse because it's symmetrical. So we start by taking the white string that we would have used to continue that chevron shape, and we do backward knots with it all the way to the edge. I'm going to go a little bit faster this time since we already covered this. Backward knots with this white string. That string gets put off to the side along with the rest of the strings that we don't need. We move on to the next string, which is a color string, so we're going to be doing backward knots with it up until the very last string, onto which we're going to do a backward forward knot instead. This string goes off to the side. We grab the next string, which is a white string, so it just does backward knots along all of these strings. Once again, this string is off to the side. The outer string is a color string, so it's going to do backward knots followed by a backward forward knot. This string goes off to the side. A white string does 3 backward knots. Once again, we are careful when it comes to making knots onto strings that just did a backward forward knot. I'm going to bring this string back in just to make sure that I keep it tight while I'm making this knot. Next up, we've got a color string that does a backward knot and then a backward forward knot. And finally, the white string does a single backward knot. And we are done with the repeating pattern. At this point, the pattern repeats. You can rewind to the beginning of this tutorial. There's timestamps in the description for you to do that easily, and you can start it all over again. The strings are in a different order because the string colors change, but they're all in the correct positions for you to follow the tutorial as is. So you would start with the 2 white strings that are in the center. Continue repeating the pattern over and over again until the bracelet reaches the length that you want. I once again forgot to record visuals for this, so we're going with a voiceover instead. I finished this bracelet by making a triangle end at the end as well. To do that, you need to get the bracelet into the shape of a chevron. Thankfully, there's actually a very natural point in the bracelet to do this, and I chose to do this at this point. This point comes after the reverse chevron in the tutorial, and then the bunch of chevrons in the center. And once we get to the sides, you make forward knots with 3 of the strings on the left and backward knots with 3 of the strings on the right, and then focus on the middle. In the middle, you just need to do a diamond. To do that, you do a knot in the center with the 2 white strings, do a little reverse chevron with 2 forward knots on the right, 2 backward knots on the left, a little dot in the center for the 2 color strings, and then you close that diamond off with a chevron of the white strings. And that's it. Now your bracelet is in that chevron shape and you can do your triangle end. As mentioned, I have a separate tutorial on how to do those, so I'll leave that linked. And this is how the bracelet turned out. As I said, I absolutely love this one. I love how the triangle ends complement the design as well. I think they fit really well here. I finished it off with twisted ties. I have a separate tutorial for that, and I think they just look gorgeous on both ends. This is a really beautiful bracelet. If you end up making it and post a picture somewhere, make sure to tag me. I love seeing your creations. If you have any questions as well, definitely leave them in the comments. I'll try to answer as many as I can. Before I go, I also want to give a special shout out to my patrons and especially my top supporters. It is with your support that I'm able to create the videos that I do on this channel, so I appreciate it so much. If you also want to become a patron and support the work that I do here, the link to that is in the description. My book, The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets, is also now out. It's a photo tutorial book that takes you all the way from the basics to the more advanced stuff. It's available for purchase anywhere you typically buy books, and there's a direct link in the description as well. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!